What's going on, Spurs fans, and welcome to another Hotspur live stream here on Stateside Footy. And God damn it, we have ourselves a good one today, as Spurs will travel to Nottinghamshire, to the City grounds, to take on Forest. And of course, Spurs are coming in a relatively decent, coming in relatively decent form, unbeaten in their last three. Of course, they had the draw against Newcastle, the win against Brentford last week, and a midweek victory over Slavia Praha. And all of a sudden, it feels like we have kind of hit Forest right at the right time. That being said, it's kind of an interesting lineup, so let's go ahead and get into it. For Spurs, as it looks like Thomas Frank has lined them up in a 4-2-3-1. Of course, Guillermo Vicario will be back in net per the usual. A back four of Pedro Porro on the right side. Christian Romero, who's wearing the armband, customary, and of course his battery partner back there, Mickey Van de Ven, with Jed Spence on the right. The double pivot is going to be Rodrigo Betancourt and Archie Gray, and I would probably assume that Rodrigo Betancourt is probably going to be the six today. Makes a little bit sense. They'll have Archie Gray kind of playing in a little bit of that box to box, maybe giving himself a little bit higher up on the pitch to kind of work with Kolo Muani and Spence on the left side. And of course, Archie Gray, his performances over the last couple of weeks have absolutely been so superb. So it's nice to see Gray getting rewarded. A midfield attacking three of Mohamed Kudus on the right, Randall Kolo Muani on the left, who we saw in that Brentford match, and it gave Spurs a little bit of a different element out there on that left, the ability to hold it up, but also play it off of Spence and Gray. And of course, Xavi Simons underneath, and Richarlison up top. And of course, Richarlison is also in form as well too. I believe he scored three of his last four. And for the most part, I actually kind of like this. A little bit of the attacking vibe as we've seen, and especially in the build-up. It's going to look more like a 3-1-4-2, as Kolo Muani is probably going to be shading to the back post off the right-hand side. So if the tack goes up that way, chances are pretty good. It's going to allow Richarlison. The biggest thing it's what's going to end up doing, especially if Kolo Muani is that guy that's going to float to the back post, what it's going to do is shade defenders over his way. That allows Richarlison to use his movement a little bit more deceptively in the box. That allows himself. But also off the left-hand side, you're going to see inverted runs from Gray. You're going to see Kolo Muani potentially shift in, especially especially with a guy like Jed Spence off that left-hand side on the right foot, playing balls into the box. This is actually probably one of our better 11s, although I like the idea of João Palhinha instead of Rodrigo Betancourt, but it is what it is. For Nottingham Forest, they are lining up. Sean Dyche is going to have them lined up in a 4-2-3-1, and in goal will be Victor. A back four of Savona, Milinkovic, Murillo, and Williams. A midfield pair of Anderson and Sangare. And of course, this is where they're absolutely dangerous. The speed on the wings. Callum Hudson-Odoi will be on the left-hand side. Amari Hutchinson will be on the right. Morgan Gibbs-White underneath, who's wearing the armband. And Igor Jesus, who is absolutely dangerous and is not the type of guy that you want to ignore as well, too. And, of course, the question is what type of Nottingham Forest team are we going to see today? Are they going to be a little bit more counter-pressing? Are they going to try to put Spurs behind the eight ball a little bit? Or are they going to drop 10 behind the ball and just defend for their lives and kind of pop out on the counter, which would tend to make a little sense considering that's the way this team is being played. So it's going to be interesting. That being said, I happen to absolutely love their starting 11. I happen to love ours. And, of course, the question is what we are going to see in this match. And we are underway as Nottingham Forest will be playing from right to left, and they get started right away as that ball is going to shoot up the left-hand side. It's going to get played in, and automatically Spurs look to press. That ball shoots back up into Forest's half of the pitch, and of course now they'll play it back. Yeah, Spurs will try to press here, and immediately that ball's turned up higher up the pitch, and here's Kudus. and he kind of gets pushed off the ball. And in retaliation, it looks as if a Forest player hits the deck there. So Caduce will get whistled for an early foul here. The interesting thing is, what is this team going to look like? Of course, Thomas Frank has said that he doesn't necessarily like to play direct. But that being said, you cannot deny that the when this team has looked their best is on the counterattack, where they're just kind of limiting the touches and playing the ball straight forward. Of course, he recently came out and said that he hasn't taken the handbrake off. Beautiful football can sometimes be complicated. Kind of an interesting choice of word is Mohamed Kudus right there off the left-hand touchline picks the back pocket of Williams right there. So very, very, very good opening start here for Spurs defensively, as Forrest will boot this one straight forward, as it looks like Morgan Gibbs-White will hit that one. And immediately the ball goes back up the pitch. And it looks like Williams was the last one to touch that one, as that one goes out. Spurs will have a throw-in off the right-hand touchline. And this is actually kind of a nice test, man. To be honest with you, I actually rate Forest higher than I rate Brentford, and of course Spurs have an absolutely a beautiful road form. Having only lost once in the Premier League, of course that was in the North London Derby, as this one will get out now. So Williams will be responsible for the throw-in as he tries to go up. As that one will come down, and it'll fall to Xavi, but immediately it's taken away. And it looks like this ball will be played to the left. That's going to get deflected and out. And so far, Spurs and here's Williams now up the left-hand side. That's going to take deflection. Spurs are not afraid to press here. And the one thing you have to watch, especially in this, is the combination play between Igor Jesus and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Speaking of which, here's Hudson-Odoi, as that ball gets tipped away. And immediately, Forest will play this back to their keeper as they reset. As Murillo will play it back. And now they're going to try this one again. As that ball gets played up to Hutchinson off the right-hand side. And now they're going to make the switch as Williams is there off the left. And they're going to have to play this one back. And now it'll fall to the feet of Anderson. As now they'll play it up, and it looks like it's going to be Amari Hutchinson who lays it off. Ball's going to go in. Headed forward off the post. As it's taken a deflection. Good save right there. But it's going to be picked. And now they're still going to hold the ball up high, as Nottingham Forest had two very good looks at net right now. And it looks like there's a man down right there. As we see this again, as that was a good overlapping play as that ball came in, and looks like it was Morgan Gibbs-White. That actually had two cracks at that one. One hit the post, as we see it again. Oh, no. It was... It was Sangari that actually got the header on. And then it was Igor Jesus that actually put one on right there. But here comes Forrest again. And that ball's going to take a deflection. This time off of Mickey Van de Ven, and it looked like Again, they're looks like Forest is utilizing that overlap right there on the right hand side. That's the second straight time that we've seen Savona come off that overlap. And of course, Sangari nearly put one in. As that ball gets popped straight up in the air, it's going to land to Caduce. And now Spurs will try to hold it. But again, here's Forrest right now. That's a nice little give and go right there. And Xavi tried to play it forward. That's going to take a deflection. And now Spurs will try to reset here. And it looks like it's going to be the captain, as they're going to try to play through Betancourt. And here's Archie, as that ball is going to take a deflection. And now there's the switch to the left-hand side. Here's Rando Kolomoani, 1v1 against Hutchinson, who lays it off. And now it's Jed. As Spurs try to work up the left-hand side, but the pressure's there, so they're going to have to reset. And Betancourt now will play it forward. Here's Gray. As Spurs are running into trouble off that left-hand side. And now they'll play it all the way back. And they'll try to reset. Here's Romero. And Xavi, that ball's going to get turned over. Oh, nice recovery right there by Mickey Van de Ven to take that away, as Xavi played a bad pass in the central area. Nice little flick on by Caduce. As there's the switch up the left-hand side. Here's Jed Spence now, charging down the left. 1v1 in the box. Jed will lay it off as they play this all the way to Poro. Here's Caduce, 1v1 on the right-hand side. Caduce. And that ball's going to be taken away. Held in by Spurs. Now they're going to give it a whistle on Christian Romero right there. And it looks like that was 1v1 versus Igor Jesus. As we see it again. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, they're saying he got his... Oh, God, that's so weak. That's a weak whistle. As Forest now will hold possession as they restart here. As they play it all the way down. Here's Williams. Into Morgan Gibbs-White, who's going to play this one forward, taken away by Pedro Porro right there. And now they're going to try to play this one forward, trying to get Richarlison on the run. 1v1 right there against Milinkovic, but Forrest won that battle, as now here comes Spurs. Trying to play through the middle. Here's Xavi off the right. Wheels it down to Caduce. There's Xavi on the overlap. Plays it into Pedro. Here's Xavi. As him and Pedro Porro play the 1-2 before the ball ultimately goes back to Romero. Here's Van de Ven as they try to switch sides here. And you can see Forrest is defending in two lines of four, essentially defending it in a 4-4-2. Here's Pedro Porro now on the right-hand side. And there's a ball in. And that's going to be automatically played out. Good defense right here by Nottingham Forest, as that ball will go out and it'll be a Forest throw-in. So here comes Forest right away. Here's Igor Jesus. That's going to be taken away, as that one will get out, as the ball was trying to be progressed forward to Callum Hudson-Odoi. So far, Spurs have had trouble in their build-up. Granted, we're only 10 minutes in, as space has been at a premium. As now they're going to swing this to the right-hand side. In the box. And that's going to get out for a goal kick, as it looks like Amari Hutchinson was attacking the end line right there. That's good defense right there by Jed Spence, as we see this again. Hutchinson was attacking it. And Spence, yeah, that's not a penalty at all. Spurs will have the goal kick here. And Forrest is absolutely pressing the hell out of Spurs here. Spurs are looking for a way out, and they do. They find one off the left-hand side as they get the ball in the foot of Mickey Van de Ven. Van de Ven will play it forward. Pass is a little too heavy. Turned over. And now Spurs will, nearly took that one away as that found Xavi, who made an errant pass. But again, Spurs are doing good job in the middle of the pitch. Here they come on the counter. And they're going to blow a whistle there. It's going to go against Sangare, who got the touch on Xavi. And Xavi earns the whistle here. Last year, of course, Forrest actually pulled the double against Spurs. This year, a little bit different under new head coach Sean Dyche. And that's the other thing that's worth talking about here, is the fact that, Forrest have had 3 different managers in essentially 3 months. A lot of different moving parts. Meanwhile, it looks like Forrest is getting back to the style of play that suits them a little bit better, more of a counter-attacking team. The results have actually have been decent since Dyche took over. As Spurs restart here. And they try to play this short instead of playing it in. Off the left-hand side, that's going to be tipped away. Spurs will hold it in. But they're having trouble here. And they're going to have to play this one back. This is the biggest issue with Spurs and their attack in the build-up. Haven't really necessarily had the success versus a counter-attacking style. But there's a good place for here's Kolomowani now. Instead of playing it in, he comes short. Now it's at the back post. And that's going to find its way out as he was looking for Richarlison. And as the ball came in, he's supposed to play it in, but he cuts it in on his right foot. Did find Richarlison, though, as this will be a goal kick, as the header went wide, as Spurs get their first legit cross into the box, and now Forrest will play this long, as Hudson-Odoi does a good job to knock it down. Here's Williams against Kudus, and they're going to blow this whistle against Kudus as play resets. As they're going to try to go central, and they do. Here's Igor Jesus. Nice sliding tackle right there as that goes out. Good tackle right there by Romero to put a stop to Forrest's forward progress there, as their ball movement has been excellent. And that ball's going to get cleared, but I believe there is a whistle against Igor Jesus as we see this again. Yeah, and it'll be right there against Romero. So this will be a Spurs goal kick here. And that's the one thing that has me a little alarmed here in the first 15 minutes. It looks like Forrest has done a very excellent job in possession. Their passes look clean. They're hitting their overlaps. They're getting into very good positions when they do get into Spurs territory. Meanwhile, Spurs have had a hard time in their buildup. As, again, being pinned back, they have no choice but to play it forward. And of course, in those situations, they're going to concede possession 100 times out of 100 right there. And I guess credit Forrest's pressure, because that's essentially how you beat them. It's how you get the ball away from them quick is just press them back, playing out of the back. And certainly right there, the only thing to do is to play it long. And from that standpoint, Forrest have possession. So as Williams is set to throw this in, he will look for Hudson-Odoi. And it turns out it was Morgan Gibbs-White versus Rodrigo Betancourt. That ball is going to get played down into a good area, and it's Xavi making a play for it. And it looks like that might go against Anderson. So Spurs will have the restart here up the left-hand side, and they're going to have to play this back. And Romero will play it long off the left-hand side. Here's Jed Spence. 1v1, trying to play it in. And it's going to be poked away, and Forrest has possession. And looks like they're going to blow a whistle against Randall Kolomoani. As Spurs are having difficulty maintaining possession in the buildup. Forrest are doing an excellent job of closing down space, winning the 1v1 battles. As Sean Deitch has done an excellent job stabilizing Forrest and getting them in a good position. As that ball goes down, and now all of a sudden, as that ball is going to be popped away, but right back to Forrest's center back pairing. Here's Murillo. Plays it all the way to the left side to Williams. Right there is Caduce, but Forrest will play through it. They're doing an excellent job of playing through Spurs pressure, as that one's going to get tipped out by Caduce. So this will stay Forrest possession here as Williams will throw this in. And now they'll play it forward. Here's Hutchinson. And now they'll swing this all the way to the left-hand side. Here's Williams now. 1v1 against Caduce. Here's Hudson-Odoi. And now Anderson is going to try to play one in. And he does. He finds somebody off the left-hand side. But Savannah a little too far long, so Spurs will have that goal kick, as Nottingham Forest has done a very, very good job of passing in their own buildup, but that one just got away from Anderson right there. I'd like to welcome in Dan Davenport. Danny, hope you're doing well. As play restarted, Spurs have struggled a little bit in the buildup. They are really trying to attack that left side. And there's a turnover right there. And a whistle. No whistle. Interesting. But it looks like that ball goes out of play. And it looks like it was Igor Jesus right there, last touched. But Spurs are having a hard time in the buildup here. As I guess, credit Nottingham Forest, because those 1v1 battles, closing space, have, proved to be a little bit difficult for Spurs to play around. As they're not necessarily conceding those soft zones. And when Spurs do find themselves in an advantageous position, automatically that space gets closed down. So Spurs have had to recycle the ball quite a bit. And it looks like Xavi is down. And it looks like he's up now. And this is going to be quite interesting, because it just might be a situation where Spurs are going to have to utilize certain attacking sequences, is because one of the things that we do know right now is like when it comes to the build up and the run of play, Spurs have actually not had have been more a liability than they have been efficient, right? But again, in the last couple matches when Spurs have actually been very excellent, it's it's quick counter off of turnovers in the mid, and that's something that I think Spurs should utilize because again, Forrest's back center back pairing, especially 2 of the last 3 Premier League matches, they haven't necessarily been great. So there are areas for Spurs to exploit here. But so far, they have chose a slow, methodical buildup as that ball goes over the top of Richarlison. So as quick as Spurs win back possession, they cough it right back up. As Forrest now will play out of the back. As Malenchenko now will try to play it forward. There's a good turnover right there. And immediately Spurs do nothing with it. As it looks like it was Callum Hudson-Odoi and Mohamed Kudus battling it for off the right touchline. Last touch by Forrest. So here comes Betancourt, who's going to try to play it forward. That was a bad pass by Betancourt. And now here comes Forrest as they're going to try to play this one forward. Here's Jesus. Lays it off. It's Hutchinson off the right. And that's taken away by Spurs. Here comes Randall Colomwani. It is a foot race as he drifts a little centrally. Mwani. And that's taken away. As Spurs didn't have, it looked like he was looking for Kudus off the right, except for that passing lane was kind of blocked. So Mwani tries to split the defenders. And here comes Forrest. Anderson now will play it off to the left, looking for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And now it'll be Williams charging in the box. And that ball is going to get out for a goal kick. So again, Forrest is efficient in their attacking third. They're moving the ball quite well, trying to find ways into the box. Credit Spurs, their defense has been good. But this will go out for Forrest's first corner. And it looks like it'll be Anderson taking this corner here. As that ball will go in. Poked away. Good run in. Deflected. Forrest will hold possession. I don't understand why we didn't close that down. As Hutchinson will play it back. And Forrest will reset here. And it's Savannah. And that ball's going to get played in. Headed on. Ooh, it just goes wide. And it looked like it was Milinkovic right there. Good service right there. And he got on the end of it too. Right there in between. Oh, he had Richarlison defending him. Never mind. Play resumed as Spurs will try to build up out of the back here. As Romero will try to play this one forward. As that ball pops up. As it'll come down to Jed Spence as that ball gets popped out. So this will be a Spurs throwing off the left side touchline. As we're about 25 minutes in, Spurs have had moments, but overall, not as clean as Forrest. Haven't been able to utilize play off the left-hand side. They keep trying to force it down the left-hand side. Not a lot of good solid ball movement. Not a lot of switches. Not a lot of good play in the attacking in the middle portions of the pitch either. But here comes Callum Hudson-Odoi. down the left-hand side. And that's an errant pass, and Spurs will take over. It's Archie Gray. And there's a whistle. One of the best American actors in the world who celebrated his 100th birthday yesterday, Dick Van Dyke. Yep. Of course, Dick Van Dyke was made popular by Mary Poppins. It's dude, I remember the Dick Van Dyke Show too. Yep, Diagnosis Murder. Yep. Absolutely. That's actually quite insane. He's 100. Congratulations to Dick Van Dyke. That is an absolute hell of a run right there. Triple digits, man. So it looks like Thomas Frank has brought his team to the side just to go over a few things, and it looks like Romero is back up on his feet as he took a knock to the head. He should be okay to continue. Doesn't look like it's anything serious. So play will resume with Vicario now. Let's see if Spurs can take advantage, man. Oh, you're absolutely right. And that was, you're absolutely right, Dan. As a matter of fact, Forrest did a very good job of that overlap off the right a couple times. They were able to get Savano right there. Savona into a very good position to, to deliver a ball in. As a matter of fact, I think he hit Sagrade on a header, and then it came down to Igor Jesus, and that was, Vicario made a hell of a stop. Easily could have been 1-0. As, we kind of, we were kind of bailed out by Vicario right there because it seemed like we kind of got bunged up right there, kind of got switched off. As that ball's taken away. Oh, Vicario. Oh, are you kidding me? As Spurs concede. Oh, and I think it was off an Archie Gray mistake, as I'm gonna have to see this again. In the 28th minute, Forrest will take a lead. Oh, that's terrible. As we see this again, as the ball goes back to Vicario, Gray comes down to make a touch, and then it's taken away right off of Gray's backside. And Vicario tried to push it. And Gray tried to come back to make a block right there, but tough break for Archie Gray. As he tried to move off the half turn and just gets his back pocket picked. Oh boy. As Callum Hudson-Odoi will get the goal. And that's too bad. I feel bad for Archie. He's usually been excellent against the press. As that ball will go forward as they try to get Xavi on the run, but it goes all the way back. Oh, that's heartbreak as that'll go into Victor. That's absolutely dreadful if you're Archie Gray. And here comes Spurs now on the counter as they get this turnover. As they try to play it all the way to the left, making a run. Oh, look at Jed Spence doing a really good hustle job right there. And there's going to be a yellow. Yeah, for sure. As Jed Spence went flying. Yeah, and it was an absolute late tackle right there. As Savona will pick up a yellow. Yeah, as that was an absolute late tackle, and it looks like Jed Spence is back up and he's kind of shaking it off. But that was that was a hard tackle right there. So Spurs will have a free kick in a very dangerous area here. As we will see if Spurs can respond here. They better not do something stupid like play this short. And here we go. Porro will play this in. Back post. Tipped away. As that was a good play right there by Victor. As it looks like Porro was actually going for net right there. So this will go out for Spurs' first corner as we are 30 minutes in, and this is their first corner, which pretty much tells you everything you need to know about Spurs' build-up. By the way, for those that are tuning in right now, Spurs have only managed one shot the entire first half. As this ball goes in, tipped away by Victor, but right there is Xavi. He tries to bounce it back in. And was that Igor Jesus that just put it on Kudus? So, all right. Play resumes here as Pedro Porro tried to play it to Kudus, and now all of a sudden they try to play it long. But here's Jed Spence, who does a very good job of holding possession. That ball pings right down to Xavi. Here's Kudus in the box. Cuts. Good defense. Plays it over. Good defense right there by Forrest. As that bounces out to the left side. Here's Kolo Muani. And he's got to lay this one back. Jed Spence. Spence plays one in. Shoots. Ooh, good save right there. As Archie Gray got one on. Let's see. Who are the transfers I should be looking out for as Miami fan to replace Sergio and Jordi? If we can, so it looks like Luis Suarez is heading back to Uruguay. It's a very good question. I would have to look, but that being said, I would probably assume. Well, the first thing is like Timo Werner. That it turned out that that rumor was absolutely bogus because we have heard that Timo wants to come to the United States and Inter Miami was a team that really wanted him. Turns out that's pretty bogus. I would have to look at my target list, and I'll get back to you on that one. As play has stopped, as it looked like Romero gets whistled for a foul. Yeah, for sure. But that being said, it's like they're going to need a target forward. In Major League Soccer, Timo Werner would be a very good target forward in that league. He's pacey. He can score goals. But you're absolutely right. That is a community that generally wants Spanish players. And Luis Suarez is headed back to Uruguay. The other, Silvetti. Silvetti was the guy that, as this ball goes around the corner, there's a ball in. It's going to be headed out. As Forrest continues to put on the pressure here. Here's Anderson. That ball gets taken away, but he's able to hold possession. Here's Anderson. That ball is going to get taken away now. Here's Kudus. Oh, nice play by Callum Hudson-Odoi. And it looks like, that young Silvetti was the one that took Suarez's position. So I would probably assume that, maybe Silvetti gets a run as their starting striker. They should get Mo Salah as that ball's taken away. Here's Archie Gray. He plays all the way to Kudus. Kudus beats his man and then gets pushed off the ball. And now all of a sudden, here comes Forrest now on the counter. 3v4. Plays it off to the right. As they're going to try to play this one in. And Morgan Gibbs-White just missed it. That was an absolute dime of a through ball from Igor Jesus, and it had Morgan Gibbs-White right there at the back post. Oh, that should have been 2-0 Forest. As Spurs defense is looking vulnerable at the looking absolutely vulnerable at the minute. As I have no idea what that was all about. As I guess it was just I don't know, was he looking for Richarlison? But right now Spurs look absolutely helpless. As that falls down to Betancourt, who tips it forward. And here comes Forrest again. Here's Gibbs. Here's Hudson-Odoi against Pedro Porro. Looking for an outlet. He's got Anderson. Here's Williams now as they're going to play this back in. Nice pass to Anderson around. Here's Williams, and that's cleared away. But again, Forrest will hold this thing back in as they are just bringing wave after wave. And now they'll play this all the way to the right-hand side. There's a ball that goes in. And it's tipped wide. And they're going to say that this went out against Morgan Gibbs-White. And they're saying this is Spurs ball. Let's see. I don't think Mo Salah is coming to the United States. As we see this again. Yeah, that was last touched by Rodrigo Betancourt. This should be a Forest corner here. As Morgan Gibbs-White was right about it. This should be a Forest corner. Listen, as awesome as it would be to see a guy like Mo Salah, as Spurs turn this one over again, they're going to try to play one in, but there's Vicario. As awesome as it would be, and I think the money is there for a guy like Mo Salah, as Spurs now will try to play it down the left-hand side as they find RKM, who holds it in. Good defense against Savona as that ball's tipped. And now Forest will have possession. And Spurs try to win it back high, but that's going to go out as that'll be a Forest throw-in. I think the money is there, yeah, for sure. Like if they wanted to make a move for Salah, 100% they could. I just don't think he comes yet. Having those two players, Allende and Silvetti, they were ripping teams apart, especially with those two high attackers. Even with the loss of a guy like Suarez, having Messi with those two, that's probably one of the better attacks. But that being said, they do have an open DP spot. So would it surprise me if they made a run for a big name? Not at all. Yeah, I would think that if there's any league that is going to pay the freight for a Mo Salah, it is Saudi Arabia, and because he's absolutely Muslim, it definitely makes sense. It all depends on what he wants to do. ultimately it comes down to the player. And you also have to understand that coming up in 2026, Egypt is in the World Cup. As Victor will play this long, as that ball slides under the foot of Romero, but Spurs are able to maintain possession here. Spurs have, listen, man, we're 40 minutes into the first half, 5 from the half, and Spurs have managed to do absolutely nothing in their buildup. Meanwhile, Forest have been the one that have been the absolute aggressor in this one. And, the interesting thing about this is, breaking down this game yesterday, there was a good train of thought to think that Forest, would concede a lot of the possession, but that really hasn't been the case, man. They've held the ball quite well. They have played through the press incredibly well. And they have done a very good job of taking advantage of the space that's been given. Spurs defense just has not been really all that clean. Credit to Forest. They have been the team that has been on the front foot the entire first half. I don't necessarily know that they can promote them, but it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, like I just don't think I just don't think I can't see an avenue where they get this done in the winter window. This would don't like if he comes to Major League Soccer, it's going to be during the summer window where there's a little bit more time for them to. Where there's a turnover right there. That's a good ball right there, but Spurs will handle it. As this has not been a good first half for Spurs, whether it's in the build-up or whether it's defending the counter. Forest has been the team that has been running their balls off this first half. And Spurs just are having a hard time maintaining possession as that ball will go off of Anderson. As Pedro Porro's upset because it's like he took a shot off the mouth right there. But Spurs are being overmatched at the moment. Forest's work rate has been a lot better. Their passing has been cleaner. Their movement into the attacking third has been night and day better. Spurs just can't find a way into the box, as there's going to be a yellow here. And I think this is going to be against Forest's bench here. As that ball takes deflection, but here's Van de Ven. As they play it up the left-hand side, here's Jed Spence. There's just no room. As that ball goes in, tipped away. And it's Igor Jesus who makes the turn. And now we'll play it up the left-hand side. Here's Callum Odoi. Here's Anderson. Weaves in. Held in. Cross to the back post, but it's going to be played out. But immediately taken away. Good defense right there by Spurs. But there's going to be a whistle right there against Murillo as Richarlison goes down. But again, Forest has essentially played this entire first half on the front foot. Spurs just have not been able to either play the ball forward or be in a position where they're able to utilize their strengths on the counter. It seems like the things that were successful in the last two matches have gone by the wayside as Spurs continue to try to play this, this progressive high possession game that clearly just is not working. Well, at least not in this first half here. As, by the way, we're in first half stoppage here, 2 minutes. As Victor will play this. As that's good work right there by Igor Jesus. But Spurs do come away with the ball. As Forest tries to press the ball, but it makes its way all the way back to Mickey Van de Ven. As Van de Ven will play it forward, here's Xavi. Tried to play it in, and immediately it's cleared. As Spurs will come away with it. No whistle. Good hard pressing right there by Igor Jesus. He's been a thorn. And that'll be the end of the first half. As Morgan Gibbs-White and Callum Hudson-Odoi had something to say right there to the ref. But as the first half has come to a close, Forest leads 1-0, and it came off a mistake by Archie Gray off the press, as Forest did a very good job of pressing the ball as Archie Gray tried to turn and immediately gets his back pocket picked. And what ultimately happened after that was Callum Hudson-Odoi scores the goal, and this is where we're at the end of the first half. It is 1-0 Forest, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly what is going to be the change at half for Spurs, because again, what we've seen for Spurs in the first half is just not good enough. They're not clean moving the ball up the pitch. And quite honestly, they don't know how to deal with Forest's press, because every single time we try to progress the ball up the pitch, a defender closes down space, and all of a sudden we have to make a snap decision whether to play the ball forward or play the ball back. And we are just not handling the pressure all that well. So something is going to have to give. But let's go ahead and get into the halftime stats. At the half, possession, it is an even draw, 50-50. The XG battle right now, Forest 1.61 to Spurs 0.12. Total shots, 7 for Forest, 2 for Spurs. Shots on target, 2-1 Forest over Spurs. Big chances. They've had 3. We've had none. They've also missed 2 big chances as well, too. Accurate passes, Spurs 155, Forest 151. Fouls committed, 6-6. Both teams have 1 corner. As we look at the shots, Forest actually has 1 that hit the woodwork, and we only have managed 1 shot on target. Shots inside the box, 7 for Forest, only 2 for Spurs, which lets you know exactly where they're taking their shots versus our lack of. Total passes, Spurs 200, Forest 193. Passes in the own half, Spurs 83, Forest 7. Passes in the opposition half, Forest 81, Spurs 72. Accurate long balls, Forest 9, Spurs 8. Accurate crosses, Forest 4, Spurs 1. Touches in the opposition box, 15 for Forest, 3 for Spurs. Both teams have 1 yellow card. On the defensive side of the ball, Spurs lead the tackle battle 11-7. They also have 7 interceptions to Forest's 2. We also have 1 block. They have none. Forest has 8 clearances to our 8. We lead the duel battle 27-22, ground duels 22-14, aerial duels 8-5 Forest, and we lead successful dribbles 5-1. So that really does paint a story of this first half where Forest has absolutely been the aggressor. And it seems like from the opening whistle, they have been on the front foot. They have done a very good job of taking away the passing lanes to the point where we just can't seem to progress the balls in dangerous areas. As a matter of fact, I think we only have one shot in the box, and that came from Archie Gray, and what ended up being a very good save from Victor on that one right there. But outside of that, it just is what it is. Our attack is essentially what it's been for a large part of the last couple of months, which has been absolutely toothless. And the things that I guess you can say, when leading up into this one, the entire narrative was, have Spurs turned a corner? Have they turned a corner? Well, it was, my answer to that was, I don't know. It's hard to say whether it was definitive yes or definitive no, because there's a few things that we just haven't seen. We haven't seen this team use the counterattack and their buildup in tandem to absolutely dominate the ball in the buildup. We haven't necessarily seen that because one of the biggest bugaboos for this team is their ability to handle pressure, their ability to play out of pressure. We just don't do it well. And so from that standpoint, we create a lot of high turnovers. And as we saw in that first half, when Forrest got that first goal, it came off a high turnover off a press. And it's unfortunate that it happened to Archie Gray, but it happened. But that being said, it's your ability to have short-term memory and put that one behind you and continue to play your ball. And Spurs have not been able to do that in this first half. So I guess the question comes for me is, where does Spurs, where can Spurs make a difference? Can they make any changes, or can they just keep this simple and potentially play, instead of trying to be a high pressing team? Why don't you be a mid blocking team and try to create turnovers in the middle part of the pitch and play a little bit more direct and just let your best attackers do what they do best. Release the handbrake a little bit and just let them get after it, because it seemed against Brentford it worked, and at times it worked against Slavia Praha. But the reality is if we're going to continue to play this high possession, trying to dominate in waves with possession when we don't have the personnel to do it, we're not PSG. We don't have those type of players. So let's just get back to playing to the strengths of our players, and who knows, maybe we can get a result out of this one here in the second half. So we'll see exactly what happens. I think potentially bringing João Palhinha makes a lot of sense. Not to say that to take off a guy like Archie Gray. I'd probably take off a guy like Rodrigo Betancourt, but that's just me. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. Yeah, like for me, as I'm looking at some comments, and it looks like the common trend here is that that goal was Vicario's fault, playing into a central area to a guy like Archie Gray. Yeah, I can understand why some might think that might be Vicario's fault, but that is the design, right? When you can't spray it wide, you look for a midfielder to come down and make a touch, and it just so happens that his back shoulder was covered, so when he turned into it, the ball was automatically taken away. As if he actually went with the ball and actually went to his inside shoulder, that goal doesn't happen. It was just a bad mistake. I guess you can say from Vicario's fault. You can say it was a bad mistake by. You can say it was a bad mistake by Archie Gray. But regardless, it's 1-0. And so we have to be able to do a lot better in the attack. We have to do a lot better of progressing the ball forward, getting into dangerous areas, and not conceding so much not conceding so many damn good positions. See, that's the biggest problem that I have with Spurs at the moment, because they don't have guys who are good on the ball playing this style of football. We struggle, and the first sign of any type of press or pressure, that ball is moving backwards. And when you concede that type of that position and you reset, it just invites press. And from that standpoint, we're just not good. We are not good at regaining those spots on the pitch. The other thing about it is when we're playing from out of the back, and that ball, and because what ends up happening is the two midfielders that we're supposed to be playing at, they're also withdrawn deep, and so all teams need to do is take away those passing lanes, and then the ball just goes to either one or the other, whether it is Romero or Van de Ven. And if we can't progress the ball to a fullback a little bit higher up, that ball just immediately goes forward long, and we concede possession. Like we conceded so much possession, essentially pinning ourselves back. That's unfortunately that's one of the issues. Why that's one of the problems that we currently face in this match, because a team like Forest will run, and they certainly have run their balls off in the first half, and they are we are exactly where we are for a reason. So I would love to see some change. I would like to see a tactical change as well too. And I'll be honest, man, instead of seeing a high press, because we're not really a high pressing team to begin with anyway, and they have literally cut through our press with ease. Draw back to a mid block, take away middle passing lanes, and from there you're going to be able to create even more turnovers and actually play a little bit more direct, which is the way that this attack should probably be played anyway. So it is this first half played out the way that I expected it to play out. We are not the type of team that can play this high possession game. We don't have the players to be able to facilitate it. Not to mention the fact that we're playing a striker off the left wing. So, the reason why it worked at home against Brentford is because Brentford doesn't necessarily have the greatest back line, and we were able to exploit certain areas. Here, the areas in which to exploit are going to be between the channels and the center backs. Me personally, that's where I'd be trying to counter. But that being said, you're going to have to put yourself in a good starting position to be able to exploit those channels. And that's the biggest issue. Like number one, we're just not. And when we try to, the two times that it looked like we might play something in, there's been one, maybe two attackers in the box compared to their 3-4. So it's just a complete mismatch. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate that this first half played this way, but what are we going to do? All right. Let's go ahead and take a look around the Premier League as we get ready for the second half. All right, so yesterday, Chelsea beat Everton 2-0. As Cole Palmer, welcome back, Cole Palmer, he scored in the 21st, and Malo Gusto scored in the 45th as Chelsea beats Everton 2-0. And that's kind of a little disappointing because Everton's been playing pretty good football. Yesterday, Liverpool beat Brighton 2-0 as Hugo Ekitike had a brace himself. He scored in the first and the 60th minute as Liverpool gets a clean sheet against a really tough, scrappy Brighton team. And, of course, Brighton actually held the possession a little bit longer, but could do absolutely nothing. So congratulations to Liverpool. And that's what makes this match even more important for Spurs, because we do have Liverpool and Crystal Palace coming off the back end. And this was a match where we absolutely kind of need. Yesterday, Fulham beat Burnley 3-2 as Emil Smith-Rowe, Calvin Bassey, and Harry Wilson scored for Fulham. And it looks like Leslie Ukachukwa scored for Burnley in the 21st minute, and Oliver Son scored in the 86th, but it wasn't enough as Burnley drops another one. It's unfortunate, but Burnley's probably going to get relegated. Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1 as Sam Johnstone and Yerson Mosquera both get own goals. And that was the extent of Arsenal's goal scoring. And it looks like Aroka Dare scored in the 90th minute for Wolves. But that being said, it was a domination really all the way across for Arsenal yesterday. So it is what it is. The scoreline might have appeared better than it was. And of course, right now, City leads Palace 1-0 at the half. Newcastle Sunderland is all even at the half. And West Ham is leading Villa 2-1 at the half. And later today, Brentford hosts Leeds and Man United will host Bournemouth tomorrow. So second half play has begun here at the City ground, as now Spurs will play from right to left as Vicario tries to shoot one centrally. But it bounces back to Jed Spence. And that's a good rough play right there. Looks like that was what, Savone? Jed Spence right there. As that ball's taken away. And now Forest will play this all the way back to Victor as they will reset. And it looks like there might be a whistle right there, as they're going to say, whoa, they're going to say offside. Okay. Spurs will reset here. After the whistles, they try to play it up the right-hand side. That's a good ball forward. As looks like they have Xavi pinned in right there. As that ball will find its way out. So this will be a Spurs throw-in. As they are just not, Spurs are just not finding any free space down either wing. As Pedro Porro will have the throw in here. As Porro now will play it off. Nice move. As Van de Ven tried to put one in, that gets blocked. Here's Jed Spence now off the left-hand side. Spence stops, tries to play one forward to Kolo Muani, and that's going to get all the way out. As Savone does a very good job right there. So, not exactly the greatest start here to the second half for Spurs, as Victor will play this one long. As Forest has come out the stronger team. As, quite frankly, Forest has done a good job bowling us off the ball. As Pedro Porro gets whistled right there on Igor Jesus, and now they're going to try to play one in quickly, as it looks like they had Callum Hudson-Odoi breaking in, but right there was Vicario. That ball's taken away as Van de Ven gets his back pocket tip picked by Hutchinson off a bad pass, but it was Van de Ven who closed down Hutchinson twice. So this will get out for Forrest's second corner here. As this ball will get played in by Hutchinson. Back post, punched out. But Forrest will hold on to possession. As that gets played all the way back, as Spurs tried to press the issue. But Victor now will sky this one. As Romero will pop this one forward. Right back down to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Oh, nice move. But he frees up space. That goes to the back post, and it's going to be in. Oh, what an absolute dime by Callum Hudson-Odoi. And it's 2-0 Forest as he beats Vicario from a long-range missile. And it all starts with his ability to create space for himself with the fake to the outside, playing it back in. And he just unleashes an absolute missile. And now it's 2-0 Forest. Unbelievable. As he beats Pedro Porro. And that thing was just beautiful. And by the way, he had Igor Jesus at the back post anyway. That was an absolute missile right over the outstretched hands of Vicario. And it's 2-0 Forest. That was absolutely beautiful. And Hudson-Odoi's got himself a brace. As that ball will come back down, here's Williams. Actually, it's Hutchinson. Now it's Williams. We will play it forward. Here's Jed Spence. Taken away. Here's Betancourt. Here's Gray. Leads it off. Here's Spence. To the right-hand side, here's Caduce. That ball's going to be tipped away. Held in. Here's Caduce again. Caduce, back post. And there's Victor right there. Spurs did a little bit better job there of getting themselves into a better position. As play resumes, as they're going to play this one up to the right-hand side, here's Caduce. Who lays it off to Pedro Porro. Here's Van de Ven. As Hutchinson did a good job right there. For those that are tuning in, Callum Hudson-Odoi burns Spurs again, this time from the outside. Unbelievable. Unbelievable ability to create space. Absolutely ate up Pedro Porro. And then puts a dime into the back of the net. Past and outstretch Vicario there. And that's currently where we sit at 2-0 here in the 52nd minute. As Spurs just have absolutely no idea how to get forward. As that ball will go in, tipped away. As Colomwani will bump Hutchinson. And it looks like Thomas Frank is going to have to make some changes pretty quick because this match is getting out of hand quite quickly. As Victor will play it long and out. So Spurs will have the throw, and it'll be Jed Spence here. As he plays it in right to Milenchenko. And immediately Spurs concede possession. As that ball will go up. And it'll find Igor Jesus. As that's going to get tipped out. As this, it looks like this thing was getting out of hand pretty quick. And it looks like it's going to be a triple change, as it looks like it's going to be Polinia, Ben Davis, and Lucas Bergvall coming on. As Savona will have this throw in. Forced up 2. Savona. Oh, that's a nice play by Hutchinson. Cuts in. Tries to play one on, but it drops to the left-hand side. Adoy. And that's tipped away. Jed Spence being eaten up. Here's Kolo Muani. As Muani plays his way out of it. Nice play by Amari Hutchinson, but very good play right there by Kolo Muani. As now Spurs try to progress this up the pitch. Here's Kudus. Here's Pedro Porro. Now they try to slow things down. Kudus tried to play one in, and that's automatically going to get cleared. As coming back is Van de Ven. As they try to switch, as Kudus will go get it. Here's Porro. As that one goes in, and it automatically gets cleared away. So that'll get out of play. As it looks like Ben Davis and Bergvall are set to come on here, as that one will get out. As Vicario just plays it long. So it'll be Bergvall, Polinia, and Ben Davis checking in for Spurs here. As Thomas Frank is giving him instruction here, as they will play to the next whistle. As here comes Betancourt, cuts in, plays it off to Archie Gray, and Gray is ran into some trouble there against Igor Jesus, and has to play it back. Oh, this is just hard to watch. There's the switch to the left-hand side. It's got Jed Spence in, and that's as Spurs absolutely cannot find anything in the attacking third, as they are held up at the halfway point. Can't progress the ball forward. As looks like Jed Spence is coming off. And he's going to be coming off for Ben Davis. Betancourt comes off for João Polinia. and Archie Gray will come off for Bergvall. So a midfield switch. So Gray, Betancourt, and Spencer off. Polinia, Bergvall, and Davis are on for Spurs. As we will find out what kind of impact they will have. And here comes Forrest now. Lays it off. Here's Hutchinson now. As that's going to get cleared away. As we are approaching the hour mark here, Spurs down 2. And you can see the frustration set in. Forrest have done just a dynamite job. As Ben Davis will get whistled right there for a foul. As Hutchinson's down, he's holding his knee. Oh, Jesus. Get up, dude. As Davis will try to play this one forward, it's going to be tipped away. Here comes Forrest now. Plays over to Jesus. Oh, and he shoots it, but it goes wide of the far post. And it's 3 versus 2 here. As Van de Ven does a good job of cutting down the shooting angle. Still, as that's turned over quickly. Spurs get possession. Here's Caduce. And that's taken away. But look at the hustle by Caduce and the pressure. And again, slowing it down to allow Forrest just to get their shape again. And bam, it's a turnover. There's a shot that goes wide. And it was Amari Hutchinson. Right now, we are absolutely being dominated. There's Rando Kolomwani. Oh, he plays through it. And he'll play it off. Here's Pedro Porro. Plays one through. And that's good defense right there. As it was Anderson. That'll get out for a Spurs corner. Good defense right there, but that's how you're going to have to play. Get balls in, allow your best attackers to make runs, as that ball will go way, way over from that corner. That was just unbelievably shambolic of a corner right there. As Spurs have just crumbled. They didn't respond from the first half. They've just continued to allow Forrest to dominate them. As that ball pops up. As Polinia will head it forward. Here's Bergvall. Lays it off to Davis, who plays it forward to RKM. Tries to flip it off. That'll go off Savona. So it'll be out for Spurs throw-in, but they have not been able to do anything in the attack whatsoever. Here's Davis. Here's Bergvall. Lucas will play it over to the right. Here's Caduce. Lays it off. Xavi. Oh, and Xavi turns it over. Trying to make a pass to the inside instead of playing it in. Lays it off to Caduce off the right. He's guarded by 2 as he tries to play one in. That gets deflected. Oh, nice play right there by Polina. But here comes Forrest now on the break. Here's Morgan Gibbs-White. Here's Anderson. Tipped away. Here comes Spurs now. It's Xavi. And Richarlison can't hold it. Time is running out. That's a nice little pick by Richarlison. Here's Colo. 1v3. Here's Colo. Lays it off. And that is cleared. Oh, they're going to say it was a handball. Okay, fair. As we're approaching the 65th minute. This one's been tough. As Ben Davis will play this one out, so this will be a Forrest throw-in. As that ball swings around now to the right-hand side. Here's Savona. That's good passing. It's Hutchinson. As they're going to try to play this one forward. As they find Igor Jesus. Lays it off to Hutchinson. Taken away right there by João Polina. And Polina's got nowhere to go. As that ball will shoot up the pitch. And there is a whistle. The Spurs will try to hit him quick off the restart. Here's Caduce. Tries to go around the corner, but it falls into the midst of Victor off a deflection right there. As that gets past Hudson-Odoi right there, as it finds Mickey Van de Ven. Here's Bergvall. Again up the right-hand side. That's going to take a deflection off as they continue to try to press it down that right-hand side. As looks like Victor is down here. As it looks like Forrest's backup keeper is starting to get ready here. Maybe there might have been an injury. So far, he's actually hasn't really had a lot of work. Spurs have only managed 5 shots one on target with Victor. So from that standpoint, yeah, it looks like he's going to be all right. Jean Victor. As Bergvall will have the throw in here. As that one will go into the box and immediately taken care of. As Porro will play one into Bergvall. And Bergvall does a good job of playing one in, but that's immediately taken away. Spurs will reset. That ball's going to take a deflection off from a Porro shot. And here comes Forrest. Says looks like Bergvall's going to take a yellow right there. And that's the right decision because Callum Hudson-Odoi was about to burn Spurs around the corner. And that's exactly the type of play you're going to have to do right there. Eat a yellow. Stop Forrest from breaking right there. As we're approaching the 70th minute, 20 minutes remain here. As Spurs have absolutely played a dreadful game today. As it's been all Forrest. As Davis will track back on this long ball here. And we'll just kick it out. As that Forrest will hold it in. Here's Hutchinson. As that's tipped away by Romero. And can Spurs break? Here's Xavi. And he's got to play this back. And they'll try again up the right-hand side. Here's Kudus. And he tries to play one in. That's automatically cleared. Play resumes. Here's Bergvall. Plays it over to Kolomwani. To Ben Davis. Back to Bergvall. As Spurs will recycle. As they play one in. Here's Kudus off the right-hand side. And he tries to beat his man again around the corner. They're going to say this one was off. This was a foul on Kudus. As Williams hit the deck right there. As it looks like maybe Brendan Johnson's getting ready. As that ball's headed forward. And there's a whistle. Looks like Xavi was hitting the pack right there by Anderson. As Spurs will hold possession here. As Romero They'll play it in. Here's Bergvall taken away, and they're going to blow a whistle right there. As they'll say that one was going against Murillo right there. Spurs have absolutely done nothing in the attack whatsoever. As they'll have the free kick from a deep position here. And they'll play it short. Here's Bergvall. And he'll play it to the far post, but that's going to get headed out. Right there is Randall Kolomowani, who can't keep it in. And there's another waste of a good free kick opportunity. As that ball gets played forward. And it has to get played back right there to Vicario. As Morgan Gibbs-White presses the issue with Vicario. And there's going to be a whistle right there. It looks like that's going to be against Williams. As this is one of, oh, and then Xavi just gets bullied right off the ball. Taken away by Colo, though. As, again, they'll try to work it to the right-hand side. Bad pass into the interior. Taken away by Forrest. I mean, they literally cannot do anything on the attacking side of things. Nothing is working. So, big up to you, Mr. Carl Slim Blue, aka Audio Artisan. Quite the performance today. As Spurs have been absolutely dominated in every facet of this game. And now we're at the point where they're just trying to throw something into the box, hoping something sticks. This is this is what happens when you have an attacking identity that doesn't match the players. And of course, we've seen this for a good portion of the last 2 months. And the first half was equally as pathetic. So from that standpoint, it's like, both halves. Forrest has absolutely dominated Spurs when it comes to the press, when it comes to the possession, when it comes to when it comes to unlocking in the final third, they have been far more dangerous. They've gotten runners into the box. And they've actually been successful with their overlaps as well, too, on top of the fact that, they have essentially bullied Spurs off the ball. Right there's a takeaway. The second goal like the first goal was, that's understandable, right? Because they're pressing high. That's what they're looking for. It just turns out that, I guess you can point to Vicario and just say, yeah, it's probably not the best opportunity, to play a ball under duress like that to Archie Gray. But, all Archie Gray has to do is go with the actual ball instead of trying to turn off his inside shoulder. He makes the wrong turn, ball gets picked, they score. That second goal by Callum Hudson-Odoi was just pure skill. He absolutely shook Pedro Porro, created space, and just puts an absolute missile into the back of the net. And there's their third right there. And it's Sangare from outside. Yeah. 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 Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is the entire narrative this week was have Spurs turned a corner, and it's like it's hard to say yes when you see these type of performances, right? Because we didn't we like you if you learn from your mistakes, you're actually going to play to the strengths, and you're gonna continue to try to do the things that made you successful. Instead, we went back to what we know doesn't work, and we were absolutely bullied in every sense of the word. And what's funny is Forest is a team that usually will play a more of a counter-attacking style, which they did today, by the way. But that being said, they also pressed the shit out of us, and we crumbled. We absolutely crumbled under the pressure, and it is what it is. It's hard to say that we've turned a corner when you have these type of performances. And from that standpoint, it's just you know we've taken another step backwards. We do not have the personnel to play the style of football that Thomas Frank wants to play. Plain and simple. And they also played the blueprint of how to beat Spurs, which is press the ever living shit out of them, create turnovers, create overloads, and then if you can, take shots from the outside because Vicario can't stop them. Two of those goals came outside the 18. Absolute missiles, by the way. And there's another turnover. Absolutely nothing in the middle of the pitch. We cannot work the ball through the midfield at all. Bad passes, under pressure. It's just a terrible combination. This has been a terrible performance. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem if Archie Gray starts. I think Archie Gray is. I think this was is from his standpoint. You know, it was like it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a good performance from Archie. I'll be the first one to stand up because I actually like Archie and I think he's played absolutely brilliantly the last couple of weeks. But that being said, there's a learning curve with it. But the my biggest problem with Betancourt was he wasn't better. This is the second straight match that I've seen Betancourt played where he looks at there's a turnover where he hasn't looked great at all. It's like I can't vouch for Betancourt off of he just uh uh like I can't vouch for players that are that continuously are just having bad performances. Dude, this is shocking. This is absolutely shocking. Dude, a 17th place team absolutely beat the shit out of us today. Dude, everything they've done has looked good. Their passing has looked clean. Their ability to get in the box has looked good. Their pressing has looked good. Everything they've done today has just been night and day better than anything that we have tried to do. Yeah, I agree to this. I 100% agree with this. Without a doubt, I think they are the two that are physically built. But that being said, you're not going to, you're not going to be able to build the confidence of young players if you're continuously pulling them off, right? They're going to have to suffer some, they're going to have to take the ups with the downs as well too. That's, you're not going to be able to develop unless they actually feel what it's like to fail. And there's going to be a yellow on Pedro Porro. Yeah, I can vouch for that as well too. As Pedro Porro absolutely just straight up one-handed arm tackled Williams off the other side. You can tell the frustration set in. And looks like Forrest will make a switch here in the 83rd as Igor Jesus comes off. He's had a good game too. That dude is a target forward. That dude's built for it. And it looks like Douglas Luiz will come on. chicken and rice and hitting the weights. I agree. That's funny. Yeah, but the interesting thing, man, is it's like I'm not surprised that this happened. Um, you know, I was asking the question all week, right? Was it improvement? Was it legit improvement, or was it inferior opposition? Or was it both? I mean, was there an opportunity we improved playing inferior opposition, or were we just able to play our game a little bit better? I thought in certain areas we looked a little bit better. But that being said, I think one of the biggest telling things was, against Slavia Praha, a little bit more of a physical defense. We weren't able to be direct on the counter. We tried, it just didn't work, and then we reverted. It just so happens that they were just a little overzealous, and that's a bad pass right there by Betancourt. Bergvall. Nice play by Ben Davis right there, but then he immediately just turns it right back over. And that's going to go out for a goal kick. Was it a foul? Oh, dear. Was it improvement, or was it inferior opposition? Was it just so, that's the thing. It's like against Slavia, their defense was kind of big and physical, and they had some pace, and we weren't able to do the things that we were able to, be successful against, like Brentford. Brentford was like, the match where we absolutely just needed to bully somebody. And even then, in the second half, we took our foot off the gas. And then against Slavia Praha, it was like when we couldn't replicate some of the things that made us successful, we reverted back to this slow it down approach, this methodical buildup that we're not built for. And it just so happens that they were overzealous and gifted us 2 penalties. From that standpoint, it just is today. And I agree with you. I think today was a lot about complacency. They needed to match the intensity of Forest, and I don't think they did. If that was the case, we like in that first half too, they were absolutely slicing through our press, like like a hot knife through butter. It was not even close, and they were just able. Essentially, they were able to just build up with ease, like regardless whether it was on the build up or the counter. They were able just to walk right through us with ease. As that's a good save right there by Vicario. 2 good saves right there by Vicario. But as Matisse Tell gets his back pocket picked, I mean, you look at the way that Forrest is moving the ball right now. They're just able to work out of any problem. Here's Tell. Yeah, and so the answer is no. Like this team has not turned a corner. We can't string back-to-back wins in the Premier League. When things don't go right, what's our plan B? What's our contingency plan? To tactically switch when things aren't going well. We don't have it. We just continue to try to do the same things time and time again, expecting a different result. And look, it's 3 versus 1v3 as Tell's trying to play his way out of it. At least we earned a corner right there. It's like, where's the outlet? Like teams have set up, especially in the build-up too, and we see it on both sides. It's like they cut off the back channel by moving in an extra defender, and it's always 2v1 on the wings. I can go on forever about how I absolutely hate the build-up. As that ball swings in, ooh, we actually got a head on it. It was deflected, but we got something on it. As we are now approaching the 90th minute, it's the 89 plus 30, as Forrest is able to win this ball back. And they're just able to hold the ball, dink it forward, and find an open runner. That's a good play right there. As Vicario was able to clear the danger. This was literally a shambolic performance on both ends. Yeah. As it looks like there's going to be 5 minutes of extra time here. 5 minutes of slow death, as Van de Ven will play it back. And that's good press right there by Forrest, as that's going to get out. Jesus Christ, they've done everything right. It was going to take this team to match intensity and also match their will. They were willing to run their asses off today, and they did a very good job. Yeah. As Callum Hudson-Odoi will come off now for Forrest. As play resumes, as it looks like Ndai has come on. Yeah, you're exactly right. Outplayed and outcoached. As here's Matisse Tell. Yeah, 1v2. What do you know? As that one will get out of play. Yeah, this was exactly that, a Deitch masterclass. It's not really, but that's the thing. Was it really a masterclass, or was it just looking at game film, right? Looking at the way other teams have set up against us, and just know exactly how to take advantage. Like, we are not a tough team. That's the thing. We do not match up well versus teams that like to run, teams that ratchet up the intensity, that are just relentless pressers. The reason why we're able to come back in certain games is because opponents will just take their foot off the gas at times, and we're able to methodically work our way back, and we might actually get a result. But then again, all you have to do is just look at the teams that have literally played us off the pitch, and there is one common denominator. That's They continuously run. They continuously press. They make us respond, and we respond terribly. We were beaten in every facet of the game today. Have we turned a corner? Fuck no. Fuck no, we haven't. We absolutely crumbled today. From the moment go. As soon as they got there first, it was over. As Joan Victor will shoot this up the pitch. Yep, finds an open player. That's a nice little play right there. As that ball will get out. Good defense, I guess, by Polina. These are tough, right? This is why it is so tough to be a Spurs fan over the course of the last couple of years, because this is what it's resulted. This is what we've been reduced to. A mid-table team that wins once a month. That's pretty much it. That's what we are. Let's just call it what it is. We're not a big club. We don't act like a big club. You know, our coaching hires are always responsive, and they're always the extreme of the of the last coach that we had. You know, we haven't necessarily had a coach that is actually sound in his defensive and attacking principles that have balanced tactics since Pochettino. Some might even say Harry Redknapp. Oh, and by the way, was it any wonder that both of those coaches turned us into Champions League teams? And there's the final whistle right there. As Spurs go down 3-0, down in flames. Let's go ahead and let's see. The January is going to be very, very telling as to what we are and what we want to be. I agree. But that being said, it's like, also think about it this way, right? Because of everything that our ownership has said up to this point, and then also what Thomas Frank has also been saying, that we're going to be active. They have put themselves in a position where they absolutely have to be active. You can't sit there and say that this is what your ambition is and you come away with one player. Even if it's a good player, you can't come away with one. Like, this is going to have to be something where, we're going to need at least three in the window, three players that are immediately going to help us. This can't be, we're going to bring in a young player, right? We absolutely are going to need help in the second half of the season. We have enough young players where we're still developing them. The last thing we need is to bring in, a Matisse Tell type of player that is unproven. All right, let's look at the stats here. Full-time stats. In this one, Spurs did win the possession battle, 52-48, but the XG was shocking. 1.91 for Forest to 0.37 for Spurs. 15 total shots for Forest to Spurs 6. Six shots on target to Spurs 1. And Forest had 3 big chances to our none. They also happened to miss 2, but it is what it is. Accurate passes, Spurs 330, Forest 317. Fouls committed, Spurs 13, Forest 9. Both teams finished with 3 corners apiece. When you look at the shot index, Spurs had 4 block shots to Forest's 2. Shots inside the box, Forest 10, Spurs 5. Shots outside the box, 5-1. So it was a tale of two halves, because at the end of the first half, it was literally 8-2. And then in the second half, they decided to drop back a little bit and take shots outside the box, and they scored 2 goals from it. By the way, XG in open play, 1.70 for Forest to 0.30 for Spurs. XG on set plays, 0.20 to 0.07. So there's that. Passes 417 Spurs, 391 for Forest. Passes in the own half, Spurs 166, Forest 156. Passes in the opposition half, 164, 161. Accurate long balls, 22-21 Forest. Accurate crosses, 5-3 Forest. Throws, Spurs 24, Forest 22. Touches in the opposition box, 24-13. 11 more. Spurs had 3 yellow cards to Forest's 1, so obviously Forest was a lot more disciplined. Tackles 26-17 Spurs, interceptions 13-11 Spurs, clearances Forest 23, Spurs 18, keeper saves 3-1 to Spurs. Duels. We won the duel battle 54-47. We won the ground duel battle 44-35. Aerial duels 12-10 Forest, and successful dribbles 9-6 Spurs. Today's player of the match, obviously, is Callum Hudson-Odoi, who rated out as a 9.5 today, and he was absolutely brilliant. Ibrahim Sangare was a 9. We go all the way down. Our first player that rates is going to be Xavi Simons, who was a 7.4. He actually wasn't really all that terrible today. As far as XG goes, he was a 0.12. The next player down the list for Spurs would be Randall Colomwani, who rated out as a 7-ish. And then you have to go all the way down to Mohamed Kudus, who was a 6.5. So it just goes to show you how bad this team was today. Here's the thing, man. I don't think it's going to take a miracle window. If we can actually get in a left-sided winger, a good left-sided winger, a good left-sided left back, that's going to be a good start. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get a striker in. I don't necessarily think we need a striker. If you asked, because that's the thing. Come January, we should be getting Dominic Solanke and Dejan Kulusevski back. So from that standpoint, we're going to get a striker and a midfielder back, 2 very good players that are going to drastically help this team, especially play through the middle of the park, man. And that's something that, in order to execute what Thomas Frank did, you have to have some semblance in the middle, some presence in the middle of the pitch. And you're going to get that back with Dejan Kulusevski playing in that deep line playmaker role. I guess you can say that box to box. And getting Dominic Solanke back is going to help as well too, because again, Thomas Frank needs a striker that can play, that can be that hold up player. And Solanke proved, at least in my mind, he proved that last year he could play that role. Again, when you drop a player like that deep, you take them away from goal, but we're not really scoring goals anyway. So I guess from that standpoint, it doesn't necessarily matter. Yeah, we are getting Mason Melia. We really are. So, so today was shitty. Today was really shitty. And we took steps backwards again. So now we're back to square one. The things that made us look good against Brentford, we weren't able to even come close to replicating today. As a matter of fact, again, it's just the way that Thomas Frank wants to play. And the fact that we just don't have those type of skilled players to facilitate it. We don't have the Kevin De Bruyne's of the world or the Cole Palmers of the world that actually can pull this off. So from that standpoint, it is what it is. I would have liked to see better overlapping play off the right between Pedro Porro and Kudus. It almost felt like for a good stretch, Kudus was kind of left on an island out there on the right side. And, when you're actually closing down with an extra defender, doesn't help. Same thing on the left-hand side. Kolo Muani and Jed Spence were literally left on islands on the left side. And so from that standpoint, there's no play into the box. So, we spent a lot of time in the buildup conceding good positions. And we're not going to progress the ball up, let alone score goals. And you're absolutely right. This is the first away game we haven't scored in. And this was just a bad performance. We got dominated from start to finish. And what makes this even hard to swallow is the fact that they're a 17th place team. And now the schedule doesn't get any easier because after this one, it's Liverpool. And then after that one, we have to travel to Selhurst Park to take on Crystal Palace. And I would probably assume that those are probably going to be losses as well, too. So I guess the only thing, maybe things change. Maybe. As much as I'd like to see it. But that being said, it's, the interesting thing is right before this match, I was reading some quotes from Thomas Frank, and I'll read them to you right now because it's really telling. So let me pull this up for you guys. Let's see. He goes on to say right here, Thomas Frank on having Richarlison, Kudus, and Xavi in form. He says, "We have not taken the handbrake off." This is what he says. "We have not taken the handbrake off. Football is so beautiful and simple, but also so complicated. The right players being sharp and in form and in sync helps. Richarlison is in his best form. Very good place physically. Kudus, after a great start, is back full of energy and looking sharp. Xavi's playing at the top level, and having all three of those in form helps." The interesting line here is that we have not taken the handbrake off. Football is beautiful and simple, but it's also complicated. Interesting. It's only complicated when a coach puts his ego in front of team progression because you want to play a certain style. And this is the thing that boggles my mind. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem a coach wanting to come in and implement a style, but also if football is simple in its true form, then you should also understand that because players are developed, by the way, in a certain aspect these days, they're not built to play multiple different formations, right? They are built and developed playing a certain style. And understanding how the collective plays in a certain way, that they actually like to play in a certain way, and that they're actually their strongest playing a certain way, you would probably think that your coach would want to put them in that position to play to their strengths. Like, if football is really that simple, then do that. Play to your player's strengths. You actually have a world-class 10 in Xavi Simons that was absolutely murdering in the Bundesliga and also in international form, and then he comes to Spurs and struggles because you take him away from goal. You have a right winger that would be fucking amazing if you would just play him on the ball, and we are keeping him hugged up against the touchline away from goal, and it's like it boggles my mind. Like, I'll give you a good example of this. Like last year, the thing that I appreciated about Arne Slot was that he didn't change much because his players were used to playing, a counter-pressing, quick attacking, Jurgen Klopp style of football, right? Where the gegenpress, right, which is win the ball higher up the pitch, 2 touches, balls in the back of the net, and then they can get back on defense and defend for their lives. The only thing that he did was keep Mo Salah higher up on the pitch, and he brought in Ryan Gravenbach in the midfield, and that's kind of the tweaks that he made last year, and Liverpool wins the league and does it by a large margin. And then this year, it's like, okay, cool. Now it's time to switch it up, and now we're going to play this PSG style, high possession game where we overload or we overwhelm a team with possession. and it's supposed to like come in waves and waves and waves. And we saw for a large part that they're not necessarily built for that. And because of it, they alienated one of their best players, a club icon in Mo Salah, and they bring in a guy like Florian Wirtz, who Xavi Simons was used to playing a certain way with Xavi Alonso, and he struggled because again, he needs the ball on his foot attacking a channel. He needs to be played direct. That's not what they're doing, and of course he's struggling. Now, a lot of what's happening in Liverpool this year is the same thing with happening with Spurs. They're dealing with injuries to key players, so that doesn't necessarily help. But that being said, it's like, it's hard to win games when you're complicating things for players, right? Players just want to play, and they also want to do what they do best. And when you have a coach that is convinced that his style is what's going to do it, it's hard for players to buy into it, knowing that for a fact they just won playing a different way. And it's, with Spurs, it's like, the interesting thing about it is like we weren't good last year until Ange Postecoglou decided to be a little bit more pragmatic. We still actually had some of his attacking principles, but we didn't actually start playing well until we stopped, playing, that high line. We were playing that swashbuckling type of attacking football that left us wide open. Like when we became a little bit more pragmatic, we became a lot better. And we actually started moving the ball a lot better as well, too. And it just boggles my mind that a coach would come in and be like, oh, okay, cool. You guys actually play pretty well doing this. Yeah, but we're not going to do that. Yeah. So it is what it is, man. It's weird because, I've always felt like if there was any team to play a 4-4-2, it would be Spurs. I think they're built for it, but it would take a coach that, either A, plays it or, doesn't necessarily have the ego to put himself in front of the well-being of the club. So it is what it is, and it wouldn't surprise me come January 1st if we find ourselves in a position that's going to be a little bit lower down on the pitch. By the way, today, Nottingham Forest moves 3 points up to 18th place, so they pulled ahead of Leeds by 3 points. And now Forest currently sits 4 points behind us. We're at 22 points. If we lose to Liverpool next week and Newcastle and Fulham win or Bournemouth win, that means we drop down to 14th. And then if we lose again to Palace and, Brentford and Forest happen to, like, there's a good chance that we find ourselves in 15th place after the next two. So it is what it is, man. It's too bad. It's too bad. We had a massive backroom change. Everyone except Nat Wells. I think he's leaving for he is. He's leaving for the Colorado Rapids. And congratulations to him. He gets his first coaching appointment. But that being said, it's like I understood there was going to be growing pains under Thomas Frank. And I'm certainly not saying any of this because I want him out or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, do I want Spurs to spend a shitload of money to build a team in the image of a guy like Thomas Frank and his tactics? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. If things progress the way they do and we finish like in that 12th to 15th spot at the end of the year, and knowing a guy like Pochettino is going to be available, would I make the switch 100%? 100%, without a doubt. But that's just me. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to get on out of here because I absolutely hate doing these live streams and then only for us to get blown out. Good Lord, man. It's tough, man. It's really tough. But that being said, man, we'll be back next week for Liverpool. And yeah, hopefully things work out. And then I will not be the week of the. Just a quick note: the week of the 29th. The weekend of the 27th and 28th, I will not be doing a live stream because I will be on holiday in my hometown celebrating Christmas. So it is what it is, man. I want to say big up to Carl Slim Blue, aka Audio Artisan, and also Anthony Marzano, Dan Davenport. I want to thank all of those for tuning in. It's tough, man. It's tough, but these things tend to happen. All right, guys, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Big up. Come on, you Spurs.